हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयम् नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ओम नमः शिवाय। 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 नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम। हरि ओम। We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om Vang me manasi pratishtita Mano me vachi pratishthitam Aviravir mayedhi Vedasya ma'ani stah Shrutam me ma prahasih अनेनाधीतेनाहुरात्रां सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। We shall chant the first mantra. Om Atma va idam eka eva agra asit Nanyat kinchana mishata Sa ikshata Lokanushruja iti. So this Aitareya Upanishad is from Rig Veda. It begins with a beautiful Shanti mantra where the teacher and the student together they pray for peace. The beginning portion of the Veda, which talks about karma and upasana. When we follow the path of karma and upasana with sakam bhavana, then we get the desired results. And with nishkam bhavana, if we follow the path of dharma, karma and upasana, then our chitta becomes shuddha and we become fit to gain self-knowledge. So those who are fit for self-knowledge, those who have vivek, vairagya, shamdhamadi, shak sampatti, mumukshutvam, such seekers, they follow the path shown in the Upanishads. The Upanishads reveal the knowledge. It reveals the knowledge of that Param Brahma and the identity of that Param Brahma with our own inner self. So Shankaracharya writes कि अतः केवल निष्क्रिय ब्रह्मात्मैकत्व विद्या दर्शनार्थम उत्तरो ग्रंथ आरभ्यते. In order to give knowledge of that Nishkriya Brahma, Brahma free from all activities, Brahma free from all activities, identity of that Brahma with the self, with Atma. That is the theme of the Upanishads. I hope the sound is clear now. Is it clear? On Facebook, is the sound clear? So the oneness of Atma and Brahma is indicated in the Upanishads. Voice is low. Let me check. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Is the voice clear now on Facebook? Hari Om, Hari Om. Okay. So this Upanishad begins with this beautiful mantra. Let us chant the mantra again. Om Atma va idam eka eva agra asit nanyat kinchana mishata sa ikshata lokanushruja iti. So Om is the indicator of the Supreme Brahman. So all Upanishads, almost all Upanishad begins with this sound symbol Om. So Om is the sar, the essence of what is conveyed in all the Upanishads. In Gita also Bhagavan says, Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. In all the Vedas, I am Pranava. Pranava means Om. The meaning of that mantra Om is revealed in the Mandukya Upanishad. So it's also very auspicious to begin with the mantra Om. So Om Atma va idam eka eva agra asit. Atma va. Va means verily, definitely. Atma idam eka eva agra asit. Idam means this world which is experienced as idam. This world was in the beginning, agra means in the beginning, Atma eka eva asit. It was Atma alone, one Atma alone in the beginning. This world which we experience now is manifest, is created, and it expresses in variety of names and forms. It's a vast world. The five great elements which are expressing in various forms the many lokas, the many varieties of beings. All this is the world. So now it is manifest. But it was not manifest always. There was a time in the past when this world was unmanifest, when the entire world was unmanifest, avyakt. So what happened to the world? World was existing as Atma alone. And now it is not only existing, with variety of names and forms, but also as Atma. But before, when it was unmanifest, Atma alone was there. Na anyat kinchana mishata. There was nothing active. There was no one or nothing active. Na anyat kinchana mishata. Sa ikshata. Then what happened? With Atma thought. Ikshata. Ikshata means it thought. What did it think? Lokan shuja iti. May I create the worlds. May I create the worlds. Lokan. Lokan is the plural. So may I create the many lokas. So this is a very interesting mantra and very important also. We have seen a similar mantra while studying Chandogya Upanishad. In the 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, there is that mantra, ki sat eva saumya idam agra asit, ekameva dvitiyam. Sadeva saumya idam agra asit. Ki sat alone was there before all this, before the world came into manifestation. This world was Sat alone. In Srimad Bhagavad Puran, also there is a very beautiful mantra. See, in Srimad Bhagavad Puran, there are 18,000 shlokas are there. 18,000. In Bhagavad Gita, there are only 700 shlokas. In Bhagavad Puran, there are 18,000 shlokas. And in Bhagavad Puran also the theme is same, that Supreme Brahma is revealed. But what is said in 18,000 shlokas is conveyed in only 4 shlokas. They are called Chatushloki Bhagavat. The entire gist of the Bhagavat is revealed in only 4 shlokas. By Bhagwan himself to Hiranyagarbha. And there he says, in the first shloka itself, कि अहम एव आसम एव अग्रे न अन्यद् यत् सदसत् परम पश्चादहम यदेतच्च योवशिष्येत सोऽस्म्यहम्. In the beginning, all this which you experience now as Sat, Asat, as that which is changing and that which is not changing, and that which is the cause of it, the vector, Prakriti, all this was not there, means all this was myself. I alone was existing as all this. Aham eva asam eva agre. Na anyat, other than me, nothing else was there. Then the whole world came into manifestation. In that manifested world also, I alone exist. Paschat aham. And yadetatcha yo vasishyeta sosmyaham. And again, when the whole world will become unmanifest, I alone will remain. Through this mantra itself, the entire message of Vedanta can be understood. There is only one supreme reality. Here it is indicated as Atma. In Chandogya Upanishad, it is indicated as Sat. In some other Upanishad, it is indicated as Brahma. In Bhagavad, it is indicated as Aham. So, Atma alone, one alone was there in the beginning. Means all this was Atma alone. See, just as if we take the example of a pot is there now with a beautiful shape and its own utility is there. We can keep something in this pot. But the pot was not always existing like this. There was a time in the past when this pot was not there as a pot. So what was there? What happened? How did the pot exist before? The pot existed as clay only. The pot existed as clay. Now also it is clay plus pot. We can call it a pot, we can call it clay. But in the beginning, it was not called pot, it was only called clay. Similarly, this vast, beautiful world, once upon a time, was only Atma alone. Nothing else was there. Everything was unmanifest. Only Atma alone was there. So from the standpoint of Atma, nothing else existed. But from the standpoint of the world, we can say the world was existing potentially in that Atma. Just as from the standpoint of clay, only clay exists. But from the standpoint of a pot which will be made in future, we say the pot is existing potentially in this clay. See, just as we celebrate Shri Ganesh Chaturthi, traditionally we get the clay from the river and then we prepare the beautiful Ganesh Pratima from that clay. The big head with huge ears and a trunk in a big belly, and Bhagwan is sitting, and a mouse in front with lots of modaks. He is holding an ankush in his one hand. He is also showing the Abhaya Mudra in one hand. And he is also holding a pash, rope. And a lotus. So sometimes we see Ganesh Bhagwan with 4 arms. So the Ganesh Bhagwan, this Murti, this Pratima came from where? From the clay. But before it came, Ganesh Bhagwan was existing as clay alone. That clay was not called Ganesh. That clay was not called a mouse or a modak. The clay was called only as clay. But potentially Ganesh was there. But he existed only as clay. Then from that clay alone, Ganesh Bhagwan manifested. And when he manifests, we no longer call him clay, but we call him Sri Ganesh. We call that mouse and the modak. But the swarup of that pratima is clay only. Similarly, this world made up of the 5 great elements with so many lokas, with so many different types of beings, having their different types of bodies, with so many activities happening in this world. Once upon a time, all this was Atma alone. So we have to understand that this world is also eternal, always exist. Either it exists in a manifest form or unmanifest form. In Bhagavad Gita also Bhagavan says, Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharat avyakta nidhananneva tatra ka paridevana. In the 2nd chapter, Bhagavan says, all these beings, once upon a time, they were all avyakta, unmanifest. In the middle, they become manifest for some time, and then again they become unmanifest. So this is the eternal process. When from unmanifest the world becomes manifest, it is called creation. When it remains manifest, it is called sustenance. When it again becomes unmanifest, it is called dissolution. But when it dissolves, again it gets created. So this process is eternal. It is the very nature of that supreme reality, Atma or Brahma or Sat, to express as this world. So the world is not non-existent. The world is not an illusion caused by ignorance. The world is not mithya caused by ignorance, but world is a real expression of that supreme reality, that Brahma. Just as this pot is not mithya. This pot is clay only. Clay alone is expressing as pot. Similarly, Brahma alone is expressing as this world. Atma alone is expressing as this world. So, what is the nature of that Atma? That now Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, he writes in his Bhashya. So, let us read the Bhashya and try to understand this mantra. Bhagavan says कि आत्मा आपनोते हे अत्ते हे अततेर्वा परः सर्वज्ञः सर्वशक्तिः अशनायादि सर्वसंसार धर्मवर्जितः नित्यशुद्ध बुद्ध मुक्त स्वभावः अजः अजरः अमरः अमृतो अभयः अद्वयः वै. So what is this Atma? Atma has three meanings according to the dhatu which is made from the root from where the word has come, Atma. It conveys three meanings. One is apnotehe. It conveys that it is that which pervades everything, which is all pervading. Apnotehe, all pervading. Another meaning is ad. Ad means it is the enjoyer of everything. And atatehe. Atatehe means it goes everywhere. See, the Atma alone was there in the beginning, but Atma is present now also. So from what is present now, in the Bhashya, Bhagavan Shankaracharya indicates that Atma is all pervading. See, we experience Atma as I in our waking, in our dream, and in our deep sleep state. But here Bhagavan is indicating that Atma, which is beyond these three states, which is also indicated as Turiya Atma, not confined to these three states. In the waking, we experience Atma along with the upadhis, of the body, of the mind, of the senses. Along with them, we experience the presence of Atman in the waking. In the dream state, we experience the presence of Atman along with the upadhis of the mind, of the antakara. And in deep sleep state, also my presence is there. I experience my own presence. But at that time, I cannot express. When I wake up, I talk about my deep sleep state. I say I slept happily. I did not know anything. I slept happily. So I know I did not know anything at that time. And I was sleeping. I experienced happiness. But that did not last long. Then again the mind, intellect wakes up and I experience the waking. So within this body, means when the body is present, I experience the deep sleep also. And that Atma, without the upadhis of the body and the mind, is understood as I. But that is also limited by my ignorance. I do not know the exact nature of that Atma in deep sleep. So it is as though associated with ignorance. It has got what we call avidya upadhi. But the real Atma, without any upadhis, is not confined to this body. It is not confined to this mind. It is all pervading. It is present everywhere. Like space. In this pot also, we experience the presence of space. We call it pot space. But that space is understood with respect to pot. And we think it is of the shape of the pot. That is because of not knowing the space properly. So when we come to know the space, we come to know that it is all pervading. It is not limited to this pot. Similarly, the Sushupta Atma is experienced as though limited to this body. But that Turiya Atma is not limited to this body. It is all pervading. And that is what is indicated by the term Atma as Apnotehe, as all pervading, not confined to one body. Then Attehe, Atma is the one who experiences. Atma is the experiencer of everything. See, when we see something, who is seeing? My eyes are seeing. But the eyes themselves are not seeing. Behind the eyes, the mind should be there. If mind is not there, then even if the eyes are open, we cannot see. But is the mind the seer? No, there's something behind the mind which is seeing the mind also. Our intellect analyzes the mind, understands the mind. The intellect is the seer of the mind. But there is another factor within, the ahankar, which knows that intellect also. But there is something beyond this ahankar, which is the witness of ahankar also, which is the witness of this ego. That is that Atma, who is the real enjoyer or the real subject behind everything. He is the real subject behind everything. When I say I am seeing, that I is referring to that Atma alone. When I am saying I am enjoying, I am happy, I have understood. So whenever we use the term I, it indicates that Atma alone which is beyond the Ahankar also, which is the ultimate enjoyer. Therefore, the term Atma indicates the enjoyer. And Atma, the term, also indicates that which goes everywhere. See, when we are seeing some object, it is as though our vision is going there. But really speaking, it is the Atma which is going there. Means Atma is present there. Wherever the eyes goes, the Atma is present there. Therefore, in Ishavasya Upanishad, we have seen that Atma is indicated as Tan Ejati, Tan Naijati, that it moves and it moves not. Means with respect to the upadhis, it is indicated as it is moving. Just like space, by itself the space doesn't move. But when we take this pot and when we focus our attention on the pot space, and when we move the pot space also appears to be moving. So we can say the pot space is moving. It moves. Means whenever, whatever is moving, it appears the space is moving. In the same way, with respect to the upadhis, the Atma appears to be moving. So it moves everywhere. And apart from these three indicators, Atma is also indicated as Paraha, beyond everything. Atma is beyond the body, the mind, the senses, beyond everything. Paraha, supreme. Sarvajnaha, Atma by nature is Sarvajnaha, all knowing. Behind every knowledge, there is the Chaitanya of that Atma alone is present. It is the knower and the knowledge behind all knowledge. So it is Sarvajna. It knows everything. Sarva Shaktihi, all powerful, having all powers. And Ashanayadi Sarva Samsara Dharma Varjita. But at the same time, Atma is devoid of all the all the limitations of samsara, of this world. It is free from ashanayadi. It's free from hunger and thirst. See, the hunger is felt in the body. Thirst also we feel. So when there is the body, there is the experience of hunger and thirst. See, when we go to sleep, even if we are hungry or thirsty, when we go to sleep, we are unaware of our hunger and thirst. Then when we wake up again, we become aware of our hunger and thirst. So this hunger and thirst is experienced when the body is present. But Atma, pure Atma, doesn't have the qualities of the body. Just like this pot, though it is made from clay, when you drop this pot, it breaks. But the clay doesn't break, the pot breaks. So breaking or getting cracked, these are the characteristics of the pot, not of the clay. Similarly, hunger, thirst, sadness, sorrow, pain, fear, death, birth, all these are characteristics of the body, the mind, and not of the Atma. Atma is devoid of all the characteristic of samsara. So ashanayadi sarva samsara dharma varjitaha. Nitya shuddha. Atma is always pure. It is always pure, always of the nature of knowledge. Nitya buddha. Nitya mukta, always free, always liberated. That is the very swabhava of this Atma. We have to recognize Atma as it is. Not that we have to make the Atma free, it is already free. I am already free. I have to recognize my free nature. Ajaha, unborn. Atma itself is unborn. Pot is born, pot remains, and pot get destroyed. But Atma is unborn. The world gets created, world is sustained, world gets dissolved. But Atma remains same. Even when the world is manifest, Atma remains same. So it is Ajaha, unborn. Ajaraha, it is free from old age. Atma doesn't become old. Amaraha, it is free from death. Atma doesn't die. Amrutaha, it is immortal, always exist. Abhayaha, fearless. Advayaha, one without a second. That is the nature of that Atma. That is the very quality, the nature, swabha, swarup of that Atma. So this Atma alone remains when the whole world gets dissolved. And from this Atma alone, the entire world gets manifested. So what is this world? Shankaracharya writes, Idam, which is indicated by the term Idam, Idam yaduktam, Nama Rupa Karma Bheda Vindam, Jagat. What is the Jagat? Jagat is Nama, Rupa, and Karma Bheda Vindam. Jagat is made up of various forms having different names and having different activities. Like we see a dog. So I utter the name dog, but that animal dog is outside. Name we chant or take with our tongue, with our mouth, but that entity is outside. So Nama and Rupa appears to be different. When I say apple, that apple, when I say, is a name, and that fruit is the form. So name is here, form is there. So the name dog is here, and that animal dog is there in front. And the dog is running. So there is an activity which is happening in that form. The dog is running. The dog is chasing the cat. Cat is also another form, having another name, having other activity. So this whole world is made up of variety of forms, having variety of activities, and having variety of names. So many, different. So Nama Rupa Karma Bheda Vinnam. That is what is the Jagat. But in the beginning, all this Nama, Rupa and all the activities were only Atma alone. Atma eva ekaha agre jagatah shrushtehi prak asid. Before the world became manifest, it was only Atma alone. It was Atma alone. So the question is, कि किम न इदानीं स एव एकः, that you say that in the beginning all this was Atma alone. What about now? What about now when we see this whole world? What about now? Bhagavan says, even now it is Atma alone. Na katham tarhi asit iti uchyate. Then why it is said asit, that it was Atma? Even now, if it is Atma, then why it is said in the mantra that it was Atman? But one says now it is something special. And what is special? He says, कि यदि अपि इदानीं स एव एकः तथा अपि अस्ति विशेषः. Now there is something special, vishesh. So what we experience now is vishesh atma, special atma. And what existed before the creation was nirvishesh atma. Again, to give the example of this pot, now also it is clay, but it is special clay. It is not the same clay as it was before. Though it is clay only, but there is something special about this clay. It is in a different form. And because of this form, it has got utility. We can store water in it. It has got its own uses. So it is special. Similarly, now also this world is Atma alone, but it is spatial. It has got a spatial form. It has got variety of names, and it has got variety of activities. So to give example from the field of science, for example, hydrogen is there, a gas. Oxygen is there, which is also a gas. Hydrogen is very, what you call, combustible. It gets inflamed. Oxygen gives support for that fire. So hydrogen is a gas, oxygen is a gas. But when they come together, a spatial thing gets expressed. And what is it? Water. When hydrogen and oxygen they come together, two elements, two atoms of hydrogen and one of oxygen, when they come together, they form a molecule H2O, which is water. So this water is also hydrogen and oxygen only. But hydrogen and oxygen is spatial. And what is spatial? It is expressing as a liquid. And we can drink that liquid to quench our thirst. We can't drink hydrogen, we can't drink oxygen, but we can drink water. Similarly, Atma, we can't eat Atma, we can't drink Atma, but that same Atma, when it expresses as this world with a variety of forms, we can eat, we can drink, we can see, we can interact, we can hold. So Atma alone is expressing in a spatial way. That is called Savishesh Atma. And when it is alone by itself, without expressing in this world, it is called Nirvishesh Atma. So the Upanishad wants us to recognize and understand this Nirvishesh Atma. With the help of this Savishesh Atma, with the help of the world, we have to recognize the Nirvishesh Atma. It is like with the help of the pot, we have to recognize the clay. Once we recognize the clay, then we can also understand the beauty of this clay. That even when the pot gets broken, the clay remains intact. Similarly, when we understand our Nirvishesh Atma, we will know that even if the body gets destroyed, I am not destroyed. Even when the mind is destroyed, I am not destroyed. I am neither born nor do I die. Na jayate nriyate va kadachit. Nayam bhutva bhavita va nabhoyah. Ajo nitya shashvato yam puranaha. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. That Atma has to be recognized. More about this we will see in our class on Wednesday. So till then you take care. Listen to the pravachan again and contemplate. And you should have with you Bhagavan Shankaracharya's commentary, or at least in original, or at least a good translation in whatever language you understand. Because without Shankaracharya's commentary, we cannot understand Vedanta. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana, and see you all on Wednesday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Bhagya Siya Ramchandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamadam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.